guys, my name is Shania Banton. I'm the director, writer, and I play Nia on the show Waves the series. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have Farrow Charles, who plays Darren, and we have Sunny Shen, who plays Jean. So you guys, what did you think about this week's episode? What did you think about episode 2? We saw Jean run back into Darren, set up a meeting, and start talking to him about telling Nia this big secret.
I mean, I liked episode 2. Mm-hmm. I think that, Jean and Darren's interaction is crazy. Darren knows that Jean doesn't know the whole story, and Jean thinks she knows the whole story. Mm-hmm. But Darren kind of has that leverage over Jean because he paid her.
Right.
I gotta tell her.
You're not telling her.
Darren.
You're not.
Darren.
I said you're not, and if you do, I'll take everything you have.
I think that it was really intense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the storyline between Jean and Darren, it was something that the viewers will find compelling.
Right.
Yeah.
So in episode 1, we didn't know who you were. All we did was see you at a party, enter a dark red room with somebody, but then come to find out you were Nia's ex-fiance. So how do you think everybody would react to finding out this big piece of news in episode 2?
I think that it kind of puts things together. Like, it kind of builds a story where you see him in episode 1, you don't know who he is, you're like, what's going on with that guy? And then you see something happened after that, but you don't really know what happened. So I think it kind of draws everybody in once they find out who I am and who I am to Nia.
Yeah, correct. So. And then Jean, Sunny, you play Jean. You playing this character who is doing something so manipulative to her sister, so vindictive. How do you feel about playing that type of character? What was the mindset you had to put yourself in? Because of course that's not who you are as a person. So what kind of thoughts did you have to put through your own mind just to get through that character?
I think literally what motivated this character to do the things that they're doing. I think the relationship between her and her sister, and I think through all situations in acting, you can somehow or some way pull through your experiences or people that you know and try to see how that would have felt. And I think we've all been manipulated before,
right?
So I think that's a good way to try to fill out those feelings.
Right. And then also in episode 1, the very ending, we were kind of throwing a curveball from Jean, because we find out that she was behind this whole Nia and Arbor, this guy who dropped his drawers at the beach. Jean was behind all of this. So what kind of ideas do you think a character like that would have do you think it was for the better or for the worse? Hello?
Hey, Arbor.
She was desperate. I think she was really just trying to distract herself and Jean from finding out anything else. And I guess what better way is to bring another guy into the picture. And so I think that's what her motivation was with him.
Right. And I'm going to get back to you, Farrow, but I do want one question. It's very important that our viewers do understand something that we did touch on in the episode, is that alcoholism and battling alcoholism. So Jean as a character, she was once an alcoholic, and then in this scene, in episode 2, we do see that she's about to be triggered, and kind of noticed that trigger was coming back to New York and seeing Nia and things of that nature. So what do you think is really important about, battling something that is such a disease? What do you think is the importance behind that?
Getting over it.
Right.
And actually staying consistent through getting over it, because it's either you get past it or you don't.
Right.
So I think the best part in that whole scene was the fact that she did let it go, because that's it's easy to hold on to your addiction.
Right.
That's not a challenge at all, but the challenge is really forcing yourself to do it, because that's what it comes down to. It's a force. You have to force yourself to do it. At some point you have to wake up one day, you have to have some type of cataclysmic.
Right.
That's the word.
We know what you're saying.
But yeah, that's how intense it is. You have to have some huge moment in your life that really pushes you to give it up. And I think Jean, she was just weighing her relationship with her sister, and she was realizing what this alcoholism has done to her life, and Jean, she looks really stressed out, you know, through the series. So I think that you get to see the withdrawal. I think that I don't know what she was doing behind, you know, these episodes, you know, but we do know that she overall was trying to get better at it.
Right. And then you kind of pushed Jean to that point. It was you, and ultimately that kind of sent Jean down this road of alcoholism. So,
absolutely. I mean, Darren is smart, right? He's very smart. So one thing is he's gonna give her the money. He knows she's gonna destroy herself with it, and ultimately it's gonna discredit her in some way. It's gonna send. He basically gave her the tools to send her down that path and keep going, so he can kind of keep his secret quiet.
Right.
Even though he's the one that's the victim ultimately.
Why Darren's so adamant on keeping this face with Nia? He doesn't want Nia to know anything. He doesn't want Nia to know that he cheated. He doesn't want Nia to know that he had any involvement with anybody. Where is this energy coming from? Why is he keeping this same energy? It's been a whole year later and he's still like, you can't say nothing. Keep your mouth shut. He's not with her. He lost her. So where does this energy come from? Where's the motivation coming from?
I think it's all about protecting itself. You know, ultimately, when you get to a certain point in life, it's not about money. It's not about anything other than just relationships and your reputation. I think Darren is at the level where his reputation can come into question.
Right.
So he wants to protect who he is, and on top of that, Nia views him a certain way because that is his fiance, that is his girlfriend. Was. According
to Jean, was.
And she's my fiance.
Was.
He wants her to still view him in the same light and not view him as a bad guy. And
then in the end of episode 2, we catch that flashback. And this was the text exchange between you and Nicole, saying that you're to pay her.
You ain't none of their business.
So what you're saying is that you respect me in private but not in public?
Gina!
Fine, it's over, Martin.
Whoa. You're making me laugh. You're gonna break up with me because of what I do on the radio?
No, because
this was the opportunity. What do you think the motivation behind that specific moment in which you were like, okay, even though this is the perfect opportunity to say something, I can't.
Die with a lie. Ultimately, you know,
it's like, this is my story. I said what I said, and I'm sticking to it.
Exactly.
I said what I said.
You gotta stick with it. Now you've already chosen this direction, right. So you gotta die with it. You gotta ultimately
to the grave.
Yeah, you gotta take it with you. Otherwise, if you don't, then you don't know what factors are gonna happen. If he keeps it a secret, he can still be with Nia.
Right.
But if he tells her, he doesn't know what factors may come into play.
Right, exactly. Should the cheater get an opportunity to speak his piece, have a say in what you're about to do with your sister?
Yeah, because I feel like Jean just felt like this overwhelming sense of being guilty. And so she, like I said before, she was kind of desperate. She was trying to weigh all her options. Like, okay, if I go to Nia, she's going to go completely, crazy. Right. She's going to flip out on me. But if I try to cover this and hide this, and I could fix this, and potentially nobody could ever find out.
You thought you could fix everything together.
I thought I could fix it, and I think I've been there before. I've been there in a situation where I feel like, okay, I can fix this.
Right. I got this.
Before this person finds out, I can fix this. I can clear it.
You broke a dish before your mom came home. You got to be like, I think I can glue it back together before she gets here.
Exactly. So I think we all have been through those type of situations where we've done something and we feel like, all right, we don't want anybody else to know about this.
Right.
And I think that was what I pulled from having that similar experience before.
So let's talk about the production sense. So for the viewers who don't know, the way we filmed this, we did not go in an episode where we actually went by location. So everything was done. We had the craziest film days ever. We would go the 12 to 16 hour days sometimes, where we had to just, depending on the location, we had to film things so out of order. So in terms of filming these scenes and what you remember happened in season 2, what was your favorite experience about filming these specific scenes of what you remember in episode 2? I remember one of my favorite days was, I would say it was the first film day. And it was a long day. It was a long day. And I had to wake up the next day and go film. But the reason why it was my favorite film day is because I feel like we were all just genuinely happy to be there. It's like, we're starting this. And then to see where we are now. So every time I think back to it, I'm like, that's where it all started. You know what I mean? It started in that apartment in New Jersey. Yeah. And it was we filmed so many scenes that day. It was like a party scene. So we were trying to figure out ways to make it upbeat and fun. I was like, Farrow, dance, take the shot, do the. It was a lot of takes, a lot of scenes, a lot of trial and error. That had to be my favorite day.
I gotta say that was my favorite day too.
Your favorite day, the first day?
I liked the first day. It was fun. I just remember because it was so hot. Yeah. It was super hot, and then I had to dance. And I'm like, there's no music, so I'm trying to figure it out. It was definitely, but it was a fun day. It was just a generally good vibe. It was so many people in that apartment. Right. And it was so many, but nobody was like complaining. It was everything
like a good energy. It's before all the stress kicked in.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
And then what about you?
Well, I think the best day, I guess I say the same day, because that's when I got to meet everyone. Right. And I think we started off on a really good part of the story. And that was a good introduction to the rest of the things that we were going to be filming going into it. I think it set a good tone for what's to come. Right. It brought everybody together.
Exactly.
Everybody was there, so it was cool. I liked it a lot.
So again, the first film day is always the best one because there's no stress. All the stress is it didn't fill the room yet because, again, we had, 11 more days to go. So it was definitely a great film day. I want to thank you guys so much for participating in the show and the after show. And this is going to be a great season. Everybody, they don't even know what to expect. We still have, 3 more episodes to go? Yes. So the story is going to go up and then down again and all around and crazy. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you catch up on Waves and follow our Instagram, Waves the Series, and make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can keep up on anytime we post new episodes. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah.